Welcome to another wildfire bonus episode of Inside Deschutes County. I'm Eric Brion. Well, throughout wildfire season, we're bringing you the timely conversations with the experts to help you stay informed and prepared. Today, we're talking emergency alerts, and joining me today is Deschutes County Emergency Manager Ben Duda, who you've heard from on several of our recent wildfire episodes, along with Chris Perry from Deschutes County 911. Thank you both for being here.
Good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, this is a pretty timely topic.
It is.
Lots to get into. Let's dig into it. Let's start with the basics. Chris, since you haven't been here in a while, welcome back, by the way.
Thank you.
When something happens that requires the public to be notified, how does that information get out so quickly?
So the staff at 911 are trained to notify the public through the Deschutes alert system. So it certainly depends on what incident is going on, whether it's law enforcement or fire. There's many incidents on a daily basis that require us a low level of public notification. But when those incidents rise up to the level where a broader area needs to be utilized to notify the public, then we'll use the Deschutes alert system. So if it's on the law enforcement side, it's typically the incident commander will reach directly out to the supervisor at 911 and say, hey, I need a quarter-mile radius from this incident, and we will use the software to select a radius in that case, a quarter mile from wherever the incident's happening, and it will notify all of the people that have opted in to the Deschutes alert system based on that geographic location. On the fire side, it often is in close coordination with Ben and his team and at Deschutes County Emergency Management. They will coordinate the best areas to be notified of what level of evacuation, and then the dispatch supervisors at 911 will notify the public via the Deschutes alert system.
And to be clear, these are the messages you're getting on your phone.
Correct.
And it comes from a 98777 or something like that kind of number.
Yeah, it's a unique, I think, a 5-digit.
Five-digit number. Do you also get emails?
Yes. So when people register in the Deschutes alert system, they have the ability to list an email address, a text message phone number, a landline phone number, and a mobile phone number. And they can do any or all of those. And then we'll notify the registered person for that geographic area based on their personal preferences in the account. So you may have listed, I want a text message first and then an email, or vice versa, or I want a notification on my landline at home first. So it's set up by the individual user when they set up their account.
And they're getting these based on the address and the information they put in.
Exactly.
And they can put in the multiple places, their home, their work, school,
family,
grandma's house.
Exactly.
And so that's an important thing to notice because maybe they're wondering why they didn't get an alert.
Yeah, that question comes up a lot, and it is certainly based on the exact address that you listed in the Deschutes alert system. And there's got to be a boundary somewhere, and we'll get lots of questions when people's address are really close to the boundary, but just outside of it. We'll get questions, hey, how come I didn't get notified? Well, this was the boundary. Whether it was Highway 97 or a quarter mile away, there's a boundary somewhere. And if you're right on the other side of the line, then the emergency responders on scene felt it was only appropriate to notify that particular area and not 500 feet more or 30 feet more.
Yeah. Ben, I love having you on these because I've been able to really dig into some of the things that pop up when it comes to the overall response to these to these fires. How did the alerting process work for you and your team during, say, the Akawa Butte fire? Because not every emergency needs the same kind of notification.
Right. Yeah. Like Chris alluded to, is we solve so many problems in Deschutes County at a micro level, and maybe it's just a deputy or search and rescue volunteer, fire department personnel just knocking on a door that's next door to the incident with whatever's going on, and solve a lot of problems on that small scale. And as it expands, we start looking at needing to move other people out of the way or just notify them to take some sort of action. And those decisions are sometimes happen very rapidly. And of course, we notify the folks that are most at risk first. And so in the initial steps of an incident, or as it grows, those level threes or those go nows are probably going to be some of the first things that you're going to see. It's not going to go a smooth level 1, level 2, level 3. It's going to be a go now, and then we kind of build it in reverse almost on that initial build out. But I think it went pretty well. With Akawa, we saw the fire started in Jefferson County and kind of crept down to the north. And so working with the sheriff, who ultimately approves a lot of the evacuation levels, we tie in with fire officials and adjoining jurisdictions like Jefferson County and look at our forecast fire behavior and look at where this fire is going to be going in the next 24, 48, 72 hours and notify the folks appropriately in those directions. We certainly don't want to cry wolf. We don't want to evacuate people sooner than necessary, or definitely not too late. We try to take it real seriously when we're notifying folks. We want to keep them in their homes. We definitely take it seriously and evacuate as minimally as we can, but also with the greatest concern for life and property.
Is there a scale for these notifications? Because I always wonder, are you starting with the door knock, and then you're moving to the siren, and then you're moving to Deschutes alerts, and then you're moving to something bigger, broader, perhaps like the wireless emergency alert that you get on your phone?
Yeah, it's all of the above. I think they're all tools in the toolbox, and it really just depends on the scope and scale and how fast an incident is expanding. What's our it's a really dynamic environment to be in, and it's a really collaborative environment to be in with the incident commanders, whether it's a fire situation or police activity or whatever the hazard is. So it's really going to vary. Back to again, we're going to notify the people at most risk, the most efficient way we have, and then we'll kind of continue on from there. With Flat Fire last year, Aqua this year, we tried to give enough notice so we could get our SAR folks out there and get door to door, and we were able to do that before the fire got there and verify if folks stayed or not, and we doubled down on that particular fire, tripled down. We had deputies going door to door with high-low sirens going. We had search and rescue checking homes and marking them, finding out where people were and making sure everyone was informed. There's another layer in there where folks that sign up for Deschutes alerts can identify that they may have additional needs, or that maybe they hard of hearing and may not get those alerts and things. And so we have a group that will activate to reach out and make sure we contact those folks. And additionally, maybe sending deputies to check on those homes particularly. And we were able to do that. We had enough time in front of some of these events. Don't always get that opportunity to have time, so we try all the things. I think we did do actually a wireless emergency alert during on the Wednesday when the fire Akawa went to that pyrocumulus that big day. We wanted to make sure we were really covering everybody in that affected area. So you may get multiple alerts, and so it's really important to read those affected areas.
So Chris, maybe you can help explain a little bit.
Yeah.
So Deschutes alerts we talked about, those are the ones you sign up for. You get the email or you get the text. The wireless emergency alert, something completely different, another tool in the toolbox. But can you explain how that one works?
Yeah, you bet. So you're right. It's a completely different tool. Ironically, we still use the same software for Deschutes alerts to send that message out, but it's completely different technology. And it is the same technology that you would receive an Amber Alert on. It pops up on your phone. There is a way to turn it off on your phone if you felt that was necessary, but in general, you're getting it. And it's based off cellular tower location. So it's a FEMA level, a federal level technology that we apply for a certificate to be able to send those messages every 3 years. And so we have permission at the FEMA level to do that. And it will draw a particular area that it's not exact science, but a general area that we want to send that message to, and the system locates all the cellular towers near that area and sends that message out to every cellular device connected to that tower. So it's not exact science, whereas Deschutes alerts is based on exact address, and it's only going to the people in that particular notification area. Cellular towers is a little bit more of a slop over, or it generally goes farther and wider than the exact area intended. But I think that's an okay thing, because if we've gotten to the point in an emergency that we need to use WIA, it's an emergency, and it's okay to notify a little bit further than intended.
So this is going to your cell phone.
Correct.
Is it going to like radio station, TV station, those kinds of things? I remember the old school ones where you're watching your favorite show, and then all of a sudden, and then the thing scrolls across the top.
Yeah, you know what? That's a different technology. That's another tool in the toolbox. That's called EAS, Emergency Alerting System. That's another federal level technology, I believe, that we at Deschutes 911 have access to. It's in cooperation with our local radio stations as well. And you're right, it's that scroll bar across your TV, and it also goes out over FM radio. So that's an older technology. We don't use that tool very often, but it is there. Yep. And if there was some sort of situation where the cellular network was down in Deschutes County, then we would likely use EAS, because that doesn't rely on cellular technology. It's copper or fiber, I assume.
Yeah. More hardwired, and
Do you remember the last time you used that?
I don't.
You've been with us a little bit. Have you used it?
No.
Okay.
We've tested it many times.
Okay.
I think we've seen it used. I think that the National Weather Service uses something to that. So I think
they do.
I think we might have seen. The last time I saw it used was for severe thunderstorms.
Yeah, I've seen them in other parts of the country where it's a tornado warning and things like along those lines.
So it's a much broader spectrum alert, and it's a part of the national alerting system for, if there was a big earthquake or, some national emergency address that needs to be made.
That one's countywide, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no picking the area, and I've seen our neighboring counties use it in years past, but I don't believe I've ever seen Deschutes 911 in the 20-some years I've been there use it for an emergency. We certainly trained on it.
Well, we saw recently a wireless emergency alert, the one that was sent pretty broadly for the fire near China Hat. What prompted the decision to send that alert, and what should people maybe understand about why that kind of alert might go to people who aren't maybe immediately near the incident?
Yeah, hidden forest fire. Yeah. Recently, in that particular area, one of the things we look at, one of the first things I look at is that was a very rapidly growing fire. I saw it pop up on some cameras at 9:30, 10 a.m., and it was growing quite rapidly. And folks were still en route, hadn't gotten on scene yet. We can look at in our zoning map software that we have at the county and see that there's not folks signed up for Deschutes alerts out in that area. And so, but it's also a high recreation area. We've got mountain bikers, we've got hikers, we've got four-wheelers and motorcycles, all sorts of things going on in that area. And so in order to get the word out to folks quickly, that's where that wireless emergency alert comes in, and it's going to hit everybody's cell phone regardless of, they don't have to be signed up. It's going to boom onto their cell phones. So we didn't have time to effectively sweep trails and check for folks in that with the speed that fire was growing. We sent that message out just to alert everybody and make sure they were aware. And with those, and Chris alluded to it, it's not an exact. We can't pin it down to an exact evacuation zone, so it does go pretty broad across the county, and so it's really important to read those descriptors. And we try to. We don't have a lot of characters. We can't describe it really well there, but we want to make sure everybody gets that message. And so few words. I think we said something like east of Arnold Ice Cave along the 18 road, something like that, where folks in that area that were recreating would get that alert.
I mean, I popped onto social media to see how people were reacting, and it seemed like people were very welcome to get that alert, even if it wasn't necessarily in their immediate location. Are you kind of happy at how that works? I mean,
Yeah, I get. It's always great to get some positive feedback.
Yeah.
I understand it's you're never gonna please everybody, and I think people that weren't even in the area were just appreciative of, yeah, we got the alert, and I'm glad to know what was going on and something was going
It's
on.
like more information
And
is better, right?
yeah, we get it on both sides, but it was great to see some of the positive contacts, and I think everybody was probably appropriately wired a little tight this fire season. It was an extreme fire day, and we'd had recent big fire in Aqua and around the whole region, and so I think it was a little startling to folks. Which I don't like to do that. We don't like to scare folks and cry wolf, as we said. But I think it was really appropriate in this case to let folks know.
Well, what's the balance on that? I'll
Yeah.
ask this to both of you because, you talked about crying wolf. What's the balance of sending too many alerts or sending them too broadly that could lead to people maybe tuning them out? Because you don't want that to happen,
Right.
but then you don't want to, as you said, scare the heck out of people, right? I mean, so how do you navigate that
It's the
very carefully?
very carefully. And boy, every incident, every fire is different, and so you're weighing out those risks and the urgency, the need of urgency, and protecting life is really going to rise to the top. And conferring with the fire officials, I did reach out to the Forest Service duty officer, and I'm like, is this thing moving like I think it's moving, or we need to get people out of there? And he's like, absolutely, we need to get a level 3 going. And so we went with protecting life and warning folks and sent that message out. And there are other times a year. Maybe it's in May where there was some fires that we've had in the past, just even this year that. Well, it's going to get dark here in a couple hours. The fire's not moving that fast, and yeah, it might be 50 acres or 100 acres, but it doesn't rise to that level of fire risk and danger that we're not going to blast that message out. And then I get comments about, I don't know what's going on and why wasn't I in an evacuation level? But
Yeah.
we do weigh that out, and we build a consensus around some of those decisions, and yeah.
Well, I would think the hard part is, what do you want people to do when they receive that alert?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not a ton of information. I mean, it's
No.
good. It's obviously important, but where do you want them to look? Where do you want them to go? Are there things you want people to do specifically when they get an emergency alert?
I think Ben can speak to the website, the emergency information that they maintain on the 911 side. I think it's just really important that people are paying close attention to the messages they're receiving, understanding what level is being requested that they be in. It's not an order. It's a strong suggestion, and pay close attention to the description of the location. Like in the Akawa fire, we sent a lot of alerts, level 1, 2, and 3, and as Ben alluded to, there's only a short amount of space to describe the area, so it's really important to carefully look at that message and make sure you have a good understanding of what level 1, 2, or 3 that you're in and what's being requested, and then refer to the emergency information that Ben's team maintains.
Yeah.
That's Deschutes.org/emergency, correct?
Yeah, Deschutes.org/emergency, and I think some of the alerts will have a link you can click on it, and it will go to a map.
Yeah, many of those alerts do.
Many of the alerts do. We try to include that in there, and so it'll pop up and show which zones are affected. So it's really important to do that.
So receive alerts, go to the resource, which is the emergency dashboard. Maybe social media might come into play a little bit too.
Sometimes that can be, that we try to sync those up. The alerts are going to come out if in an evolving situation. Yeah, the social media may be a step or two behind. That information, when we push those alerts out, our maps are updating instantly, and social media and other third-party apps will be catching up behind us usually. But yeah,
that's an important note because those third-party apps might not necessarily be as up to date as what you're putting on the emergency dashboard. Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, lots of good information here. Thank you both for kind of taking us behind the scenes and helping explain the alerts, how many there are, when you use them, EAS, maybe not since 1974, but really important information. So I appreciate you both stopping by and
Thanks
explaining.
for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
As always, thank you for listening to this wildfire bonus episode of Inside Deschutes County. Knowing how emergency alerts work, where they come from, and what to do when you receive one can help you and your family make better decisions when every minute matters. To learn more and sign up for Deschutes Alerts, visit DeschutesCounty.gov/alerts. And for the latest wildfire information and resources, you can visit the Deschutes County Emergency Information Dashboard. You can get there by going to DeschutesCounty.gov/emergency. We'll continue bringing you these bonus wildfire episodes throughout the season. Until next time, though, please be safe out there.